You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years. On today's episode, we'll cover the Coonhound World Championship. You'll get to hear from several different folks, including the world champion handlers. It was a great event. We have some great content to share with you here. Stay tuned and enjoy. Well, hey everyone, Alan Gingrich here, Director of Hunting Ops at United Kennel Club. I'm flying solo today, actually. Unfortunately, while we were at the World Hunt, Trevor got word that his grandmother passed. So he left for Tennessee on Saturday morning after 2 rounds of competition on Friday night, rounds 2 and 3. And not back yet at the time we needed to finish up this recording. So, but this episode is all about the World Finals, and sure wish Trevor could be here as he was obviously very directly involved, and I know he enjoyed the World Hunt, but he's right where he needs to be right now, and that's with his family. So our thoughts are with them as well. So, but anyway, let's talk about the World Finals here. Marshall, Illinois. Man, one of the biggest things is probably warm and dry over there. More so than where we're at here in northern Indiana, southern Michigan. Just very dry, and you could tell that. And we obviously had some concerns about. There's a lot of talk, about it, and the conditions might be tough. But wow. Kind of proved wrong on that. I don't know if that speaks for the caliber dogs there or what, but the number of coons treed was just astounding, to be honest, and approximately average. I did not go through all the scorecards, but and I'm sure that's something Trevor loves to put together. But I'm going to guess the average was probably at least 4 coons or better per cast throughout the whole weekend. And the number of coons seen was just crazy, really. Had plus points on every cast all weekend long. Cannot beat that. Thursday night in round 1 that's always a fun night. Everyone has their aspirations, talking about the hunters, and you can feel it. Seeing all those 108 hounds lined up to get their photos and awards is just an awesome sight. Really, it's one of my favorite parts about Thursday, seeing everybody come in and seeing all those hounds advancing lined up like that. Later on in the evening on Thursday, we have a catered dinner, and that happens at 5 p.m. Megan Hartmus, our meal coordinator, she ordered rib tips and mac and cheese and a salad, and she was pretty excited about this. Thought she threw it by us, and we thought that's perfect. But gosh darn it, hate to say it, but that is not what we got, and frankly, she was quite perturbed over it, and yeah, there were ribs, but not as we had ordered everything. And there weren't many disappointments over the weekend, but that was certainly one of them, unfortunately. And she's still kind of stewing over it a little bit. She prides herself in making sure we have good food for the hunters when we put on caterers like that. And it wasn't that it wasn't good, I guess, just not quite what we had ordered and expected. So that was a little frustrating. But in any event, another cool part of Thursday is the draw matchups. Handlers draw their own cast numbers when they check in, when they confirm and such, get their photos taken. We then post the round 1 matchups on a screen during the dinner, which is just pretty cool to look at. We didn't used to do that. They didn't know who they drew until we actually called them, but just a talking point, something for them to look at during the dinner, kind of keeps them in there, and it's just pretty cool. Mike Nisley, he came up last year's runner-up with the Bush Bandit dog. He came up after the dinner, and he asked me how in the world 3 guys on his cast were all from all drew out, all from the same general area. And I just told him, hey, your son Jeremiah, the handler, he drew your cast number. So there you go. Can't blame it on us. But anyways, before we release the folks at dinner, we had our opening ceremonies. After that, everyone still had a good hour or more to do whatever they needed to do before we called out the cast at 7 o'clock. So the next thing that happens on Thursday night is the UKC YouTube live stream. We call it Midnight Mayhem, and that has an 11:30 start time. It's set up to interview each one of the cast winners as they come in, and shoot, by 11:30, we already had a couple of casts in before that even started, so it worked out perfectly again, and it usually does. And, there's not a better time to interview a cast winner when they're still on that emotional high of moving on to the next round, and a good time to catch them, and it makes for some good interviews. And some of these guys are really getting good at it. I think we've had several years or several years with the Tournament of Champions, the World Championship, for them to kind of see this stuff, and they do such a great job, man, and it's good. It's fun to do it. I had the pleasure of interviewing them all this year, and then toss it over to the panel for more color commentating on their cast, as it were. But hey, if you missed it, go look it up on YouTube. Just search UKC YouTube Midnight Mayhem, and you should be able to find it. Should pop right up. But it's good stuff, and check that out. So on Friday we have 2 rounds. Round 2 is early in the evening, first hunt, and then round 3 late. Those cast winners go out and hunt. That leaves us with 9 dogs late on Friday, and 3 casts late. All 3-dog casts. But at 5 p.m. in the afternoon, before we send anybody out, we have a handlers meeting, and I love that meeting. It's an opportunity to further interact with all the handlers and explain the format and the schedules moving forward, answer any questions, etc., I guess. But it's cool to kind of have them all in there. We allow anybody to sit around there in the background and listen in, and it's cool, pretty cool. I love that Friday afternoon as well. This meeting is also where we award the top 27 with a brand new hunting light from Bright Eyes. In the past, we had lights for the top 20, but this last year I asked Ray Conrad, the owner, if we could potentially get maybe 7 more and just give them all a light here at this meeting. And he did not hesitate a lick. He said, absolutely. And he sent 27 of them this year. And he had intentions of being here, wanted to be here, but he had been on vacation with his wife in Florida, and we're on the beach, and he had sent me a text Wednesday or Thursday. And he's like, man, my wife is just really enjoying it here, and kind of talking me out of her into staying a couple more days. So that's why he wasn't there this year. But anyways, we appreciate Ray for his contributions, his sponsorship here with the top 27 there. Everyone got one of his brand new lights there, and that was awesome. So thank you, Ray. At this meeting, another cool feature is the hunters then, they draw their round 3 cast. In other words, we have cast numbers up there that they go up and they pull a card, and that's their cast number. So we also have a monitor right there where we add their dog to the cast that they drew, and it's pretty cool to watch it right there. And that's where everybody else is always likes to sit around and watch that draw. It's pretty cool. Good stuff. Friday afternoon is also when the show folks start showing up for Saturday's World Championship bench show. And this year we again had quite a few that came in as usual and started setting up their crates, etc. And unfortunately we were a little squeezy in terms of space, but we made it work there, and we had to condense the bench show ring a little bit more than we'd like to, just to make more room for spectators. But we made it work, and we appreciate everybody there. I think it's one thing that there's so many boxes to have to check for this event, and you got to have the raccoons, the guides, and the facility, and now honestly the bench shows as we're seeing them the last couple of years, we're making the arena bigger, and it takes more space because in doing so. It just takes a bigger space, and rightfully so. We do want to make it as good as we possibly can, and it's also good to be full, I guess. But this year again was a little too squeezy. But we appreciate everybody's kind of dealing with that a little bit, and we got everybody in there. I think everybody got to see the show quite well. So, but anyways. So Friday night, Trevor stayed at the grounds all night for both rounds. Unfortunately, it was that morning when he got word of his grandma passing earlier, actually late on Thursday night, I think it was, and that played on him, and he was pretty close to his grandma, but still, he did a great job all day, even through all that, and but that had to be tough on him too, and it was tough on him. But I did go to the hotel and got me some sleep on Friday night, and The next day, Saturday's a big day. I got to be up early to help announce the show and everything. And gosh darn it, I hate to admit it, but you know what? I am not a young whippersnapper anymore, and I need some sleep too after Thursday, being up all day and all night. And, a couple nights like that is about more than this old man can handle anymore. I hate to say it, but anyways, we kind of work together, Trevor and I, on that. And obviously, if he needs something, why, he can always wake me up. But so, hey, mention the dry conditions. Well, Friday night, we had a pretty stiff thunderstorm come through with some pretty winds, gusty winds too, and most of it passed through fairly quickly. But it seemed to improve the hunting conditions for sure on Friday night. Several of the casts had some pretty good coon treeing contests. One for sure, or several of them, I guess. But one cast that I noticed on the card, they scored about 8 or 10, I think it was. They had a shootout between a couple dogs there, but. Yeah, that was just any concerns about game was certainly not an issue for sure, and those dogs treat a ton of them throughout the weekend. Moving on to Saturday morning at the World Hunt, it was a buzz again. All the show folks moving in for the World Show Saturday morning. Unfortunately, our originally scheduled judges could not be there this year. We had Doc and Kathy Birdsall from Virginia scheduled to judge the show. Kathy is Doc's daughter. She was going to judge the first round, and then we were going to have Doc to judge the finals. But Doc's wife, Chirpy, fell quite ill after Autumn Oaks and has been hospitalized since then. So as we understand it, she's doing better and seems to be on the mend. So that is good. So I think there were some cards there for Chirpy and things, and that a lot of them signed, so hopefully that will get to her, and I'm sure it will get to her. So, but we appreciate Bonnie Roundtree from Canada and Dan Mazalic from Ohio. They were able to get over there to step in on short notice to judge the show, and just want to reiterate again, it's not like they're second stringers. Both of them are very knowledgeable, and we wanted to make sure, at the time when it was after the entry or the deadline to enter dogs already. So with this change, I wanted to try to get somebody who didn't, have any conflicts as far as with handlers or maybe already entered, and both of these individuals seem to kind of fit that bill pretty well, and they were able to come, so we're very grateful for that. Bonnie judged round one, where she selected a male and a female of each breed to move on to round two. In round two, that we also consider the finals of the show, Dan Mazalic then stepped in to select one male and one female to move on in the final class. In other words, he had the 7 males, one of each breed in his first class, and that was very interesting. He took more time in his classes, and then he picked one dog out of those 7, a breed winner. He had the 7 breed winners up there, and then same thing with the females. And then those 2 dogs went up in the final class of the day, and out of those 2, he would then choose the world champion, and the other one would be the opposite sex winner. I will say Bonnie did an excellent job publicly explaining her picks, as did Dan in the finals as well. As it turned out, Dan selected the red bone named Lost Highway as the world champion. And wow, even though this isn't the first time she won the world show, Andy Emery was overcome with emotions there. But later in the afternoon, Saturday there, I had the opportunity to sit down with Andy to talk about Hank, as she calls him, and this big win here, winning the world show. So let's take a listen to that right now. Gosh, does it get any better or what?
Not really.
Did you... Man, you got a nice dog. Lost Highway. Let's talk about the dog. Let's start about the dog. What dog are we talking about here?
Wabash River Lost Highway. Now world champion and national grand champion.
Oh man, that has a good ring too.
It does.
You'll make it ring.
Yep, that's right.
Gosh, and he looked good up there too.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the dogs behind him a little bit.
Sire
Sire Dam and stuff. You probably even had grandparents. How far is some of your dad's stuff? Probably.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to Dad having dogs in the 70s. Really, all of them. I bred and raised his parents, grandparents. We did pick up a few along the way, but most of them just right down the line.
Marlboro Red is his sire, right?
Yes, Marlboro Red's his sire.
And then Rosie was the dam.
Yep. Whole lot of Rosie is the
dam.
dam.
Where's any others in the litter or what?
Yeah, there were some others in the litter. Not really being shown. Most of them are just kind of pets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, he looked like a world champion today.
Thank you.
I may be a little biased being a red bone guy, but I'm not the one doing the picking either.
Right.
But he looked good.
Thank you.
You had him looking good, and he seems like he always. But what a run he's had in the last couple of years. When did you decide that he was going to be it for you?
He was.
Or
a baby.
How do you decide that?
So with Hank, I call him Hank.
Yep.
He was special from the time I like showing females more, and I had it set in my mind I was going to pick a female from this litter, and I couldn't get over this one pup that he was just so gorgeous and showy. He liked to do it. He loved doing it. He wanted everybody's attention all the time. So he was pretty little, 6-8 weeks old when
that young already.
When he just had something special about him.
Yeah. So wow. Yeah. What are you national grand champ? When was that in 2022?
Last year.
23.
Yeah, 23.
And then wins the top 10.
He won the top 10. Yeah.
He looked awesome there.
Thank you.
He went to win it. And here today, and he was up. That was a nice class of males.
That was a beautiful class of male dogs. I liked several in there. I was worried, of course. But when I take Hank in, he likes it. He loves to show, and he always gives me 100%. And I always feel confident when I'm on the other end of his lead because he's confident.
In the finals, and I apologize, in the finals we kind of put a roadblock out there and put the benches where you didn't see it. I'm like, oh man.
That's not the first time. Probably not the last that I'm going to fall down.
Bonnie and I were
run
talking
into the
about,
ring.
Bonnie and I were talking about it back there on the live stream thing or whatever. It's like, you know what? I think she's pretty focused on her dog.
Very, very focused.
Yeah. So, gosh, I'm sure you throw it back to Wooster, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah. How does it compare? Have you thought about that?
I have. One interesting thing, I believe Bonnie was the first round judge as well.
She was.
Yeah.
She didn't pick the dog in the end, but she put him out there.
She
put
the
dog
both
out there
for breed, but put both dogs up for breed.
Yeah.
That dog, Storm, is Hank's. He would be a great grandfather and a great grandfather. He goes back to him twice. That dog was very special to me. He was the same way. He had almost the same personality. He loved to show. He wanted to do whatever you were doing, and he was a show off and kind of a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But it was special. That was the last show that my mom went to.
Yep.
So that one was special.
Yep. Yeah. So today, gosh, she would have been proud.
Yes, she would.
She would have been very proud. How? I don't want to take up a lot of your time here, but why do you still do it?
I love it. I think it's like any other hobby. People that really invest into their hobbies and the things they do, and I love it. My husband likes doing it, going with me and doing it, and our friends. We made the best friends here, and it's kind of a way of life, going with mom and dad growing up.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything else to do.
Yeah.
So
hey, and it just never gets old, does it?
It doesn't. There's continuing the breeding. I love the breeding aspect of it, trying to make the right crosses, the right picks, and coming up with a new dog.
Yeah.
From time to time.
I'm sure you're probably thinking of that with this dog here. Are you thinking about breeding him into anything or what?
Yeah.
Or have you already?
I showed one of his daughters today. She showed well. Nikki's got a young male that we won breed Automox with this year. So he's a pretty nice dog. And then I'm sure we'll have some more litters in the future.
Yep. And even the kids can go and win with him. Colt won the youth junior division with him at the
Colton won at Youth Nationals this year. Yeah, he called me and he said, "Can I borrow Hank for the summer?" And I was like, "Well, sure, buddy."
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what do you think and what's next? So you won the National Grand Champion Autumn Oaks. You won the World Show with him now. And what? Yeah,
probably semi-retirement for Hank. He deserves it. But he does love to show, so he probably would like showing more than he would. 4.
4.
Yeah,
Jeez,
it's hard to top those.
Yeah.
I've never won Winter Classic. I've never won the overall Winter Classic, so he might get another go at Winter Classic.
Yeah, well, there you go. Well, hey, Andy, it's always good to see you guys here, and you always bring nice red bones, and I think this is the same dog. I think I was on a panel or helped judge somewhere. Where was it?
Redbone
Days. Or a couple of years
2
ago.
years ago.
Was this the dog we
same
put
dog.
up?
Yep,
See,
same dog.
I knew that dog was nice
Yeah.
then, so I didn't know for sure if it was this one or not. But yeah. So hey, congratulations!
Thank you.
Another world champion, 2-time world champion, and I don't know what else to say. Congratulations!
Thank you so much.
Dog
I
looks
appreciate it.
super good.
Thank you.
Looks
You did a
super
great
good.
job with this event. We really appreciate you hosting
thank you. Yeah, so there you go. Hank has certainly been good to her, and it's apparent how much this win means to her. I'll also remind our listeners that you can watch the finals on UKC's YouTube channel, where I sat with Bonnie Roundtree, the first round judge, talking about the dogs she advanced to the finals for Mazalic to further evaluate and select his winners from. But check it out if you missed it. This was the first time we've done it like that, where we had somebody kind of color commentate in the background. And we'll work on that a little bit. After we did that, I told the producers, I said, I have no monitor. I don't know what dog you're looking at. So we tried to kind of follow the judge a little bit and assuming they're on this dog or that dog. So it was a little bit rough maybe to start with, but I think we kind of got it. And hopefully it wasn't too bad. We can improve on that a little bit. But it's a nice little feature, and we want to do more of that here. And so it's kind of cool. Some good footage there for sure. So check it out. YouTube, just go to YouTube and search UKC and World Show. Should find it, should pop up. So my next chat was that you're going to hear here was with the final round judge, Dan Mazalic. I hadn't intended on taking that much time, but he is an interesting guy and is very enthusiastic about hounds and conformation. We got deeper into the weeds than I would have imagined, but I thought, you know what? There's no better time than now to let him expand and let the conversation go where it goes. So let's take a listen to that conversation now. Well, hey, Dan, it's Saturday evening now. Most everybody's left, and you got to judge some of the nicest 7 males and 7 females of each breed that you're probably going to get to see this year. What are your thoughts?
Well, I look at the coonhound breeds in general, and I have a basic view, because if you look throughout the world of purebred dogs, you'd have to go very, very far to find a group of dogs that are so functionally correct, the way that they're staying true to standard but keeping functional correctness. Because you see how shows can change breeds. They seem to be resisting this in the coonhound breeds. The dogs on the bench today were all dogs that I feel could physically do what they needed to do in the woods.
Yeah, that's interesting. You bring that up because I think you're 100% correct. And I think just so our listeners know what you're talking about. We're talking about how shows have changed the makeup of a dog just based on looks. What might look prettier is not always is not functional.
Correct. That's correct. You want to keep all the right angles and the right type of head and the right length of muzzle. All of those things contribute to a dog being effective doing its job.
Yeah.
And this is where UKC Coonhounds are kind of at the top of the heap. When you look through bird dog trials, I've been fortunate to get to experience a lot of the parts of the dog show world and different performance events, but to get such beautiful structure and to keep excellent hunting ability, and it's all genetic both ways, physically and their characteristics in the hunt. And this is where the UKC Coonhound program shines.
Yeah, well, it's we talk about this sometime. If I were to be honest with myself, I would probably say I am a hunt first guy. And I think there's a lot of guys like that, but I've always liked a good-looking hound and a dog that's made up well. But I think where I'm trying to get at with this, I think we're seeing more and more where guys that are hunting hard and hunting dogs longer maybe than we did 20, 30, 40 years ago, especially in competition. and hunting them so hard that we're starting to recognize if I gotta change a teammate being my dog every 6 months because he can't maintain what I'm doing and hunting as hard as I'm out there, then it's important for me to have a dog that is structurally sound and can handle that. And you can have all the talent, ability, and everything else, but if you don't have the makeup and the structure to keep the conformation to keep it together, you're not going to last very long.
And that's the key. A dog that's not wearing itself out physically, that it's no stress for it to run to the top of that hill in West Virginia.
Yeah.
I mean, this dog can truly focus on the track.
Yeah.
And, the physical advantage counts. It's easy to look at puppies and kind of see their physical traits. The hunt traits you don't know until you get them in the field and really do it with them.
Yeah.
They're both genetic. Certainly hunt traits and physical traits are genetic traits.
Yeah.
But when you have a great bloodline and you learn how to look at the structure on those puppies and choose the well-made dogs, those coons, they don't just go where it's easy to go.
Yeah.
And when you have a physically sound dog that can, turn on a sharp turn, I want to get to the tree first. I just do. I want to get there and be treed first.
Yeah.
And a dog that can stay tight on the track and negotiate the terrain has a real advantage. So now we're starting to see that. There are some coonhound bloodlines that aren't going to improve much as far as the hunt traits. They've got that stuff locked in for generations. However, they can selectively choose the most physically correct specimens and continue to increase the quality of the dogs.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people in UKC that are obviously doing this.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm seeing and hearing that a little bit more, guys that are really hunting hard and, really, putting a dog through a lot, taking them to a lot of hunts. They don't want to change up dogs very much. They're looking at that a little more maybe than they used to in the past is kind of what I'm getting at. That it is a thing. You used to hear a lot of times, well, I don't care about conformation. I don't care about the dog doesn't have to, as long as it trees coons. Well, I get all that, but really, if you're really hunting a dog hard and really putting a lot of stress on them, I say putting a lot of stress on them, you're going to put a lot more stress on a dog that is not made up as good as one that is.
And there are some physical flaws that can leave the dog prone to injury. So you don't want the dog to end up lame right before the world hunt.
Yeah.
So a very sound, well-made dog, they tend to resist injuries much better, has been my experience over time. And I started out with not very well-made hunting dogs.
Yeah.
All of my first, as a young child, our dogs were just whatever dog the local farmer gave to us.
Yeah.
Okay, but then as you go on and you see and you watch them compete and you watch what they do day after day, then you go, wow, that dog that's really well made that can actually turn exactly on the dime and stay tight on the track, they get it done.
Yeah. A little bit ago you mentioned looking at puppies already, as far as selecting a pup, something that's structurally right, conformation wise or whatever. At what age can you really have a good idea of which one is going to be the best? Let's say I have looking at a litter of pups. What age can I really have a good idea of what the outcome's going to be?
Once that puppy starts actually gating where they're using themselves and they will trot, fluidly trot, until they can really walk. You're looking at little things. You're looking at how deep their body is. Puppy heads change a lot. What I'm looking for in puppies, the first thing I look at, honestly, I look closely at how they hit the brush when I turn them loose as a little puppy. So I'm looking at those mental traits that I believe will lead to that dog being a great hunting dog. But as far as motion goes, as soon as they start really gating, like around 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks, into 9 weeks, you can see where they're putting their legs. If they have serious flaws, you can see it in them young. You might not see exactly which one's going to be the very best, but at least you can see if there's significant physical flaws that you would say, you know, this is not going to work with our breeding program. It's not uncommon for me to keep several very nice puppies a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you're looking for all the hunt characteristics, you know, physical characteristics are actually easier than hunt characteristics with a young puppy.
Yeah. So, Dan, let's talk about the show today. And the males, you looked at seven breed winners, one from each breed today. What were your thoughts on the male class?
The males were super strong. Every one of them actually was really super strong. The males were stronger than the females overall today.
Yeah.
The blue tick male was absolutely gorgeous. I think it was a fair toss-up between the two. I went a little bit with the red bone, actually, the body and the way it had its elbows tight to its chest, and it was very, very balanced in motion. Both were gorgeous dogs, and actually all of the males were very, very, very strong.
Yeah. So then now you've looked at the male class and the female class. They were pretty impressive as well.
The females were gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all beautiful. I saw some motion flaws. I got to be honest. I saw some things that, you know, were a little bit. It seemed like something that would be difficult for that dog to negotiate some rough terrain. A dog that reaches out and contacts ground in full stride, they should reach out and really contact ground out in front of their nose. And we saw some real nice movers on both sides of the spectrum. In all honesty, the males, I think there were several males in this show today that could and possibly will be World Bench Show winners.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
they were very, very strong.
Yeah. So you ultimately honed in on the blue tickers, or that was your ultimate selection in the end, and the females there. Let's talk about her a little bit. What'd you like about her?
I liked her motion. Obviously, she had good balance. She had the correct angulation in the front and in the rear, and I liked the depth of her body. I like to see a good rib cage on a hound. If you start getting into small rib cages, then you're going to get into small heart and lungs, and you just want a good, well-developed rib cage. I prefer to see the body come at least down to the elbow. You know, I like to see a nice, deep body and an actual rib cage that extends well back. I don't like short rib cages. There again, you need that big, well-developed rib cage because those internal organs are very, very important. And you're not going to find a big heart and lungs in a very small rib cage. So that's very, very important. And the shape of their heads. The females had some beautiful heads too. I mean, there was some really nice dogs as far as the type of head they had, the nice flat lines across their skull, and the length of muzzle. They're doing a great job with coonhounds keeping a good length of muzzle. That is extremely important to a dog.
Why?
Okay, the dog collects scent in that muzzle, and then the olfactory lobe of the brain, it's the olfactory nerve is like in the front of the brain, just beyond that muzzle. If you start getting short muzzles, the dog has a difficult time discriminating scent. You tend to get dogs that will either backtrack or cold track or just can't really even follow a track very well. And most of these breeds, they want a squared off muzzle. In a number of the hound breeds that are made to track not just coonhounds, but other breeds as well, they want a squared off muzzle that's squarer in the front. But the length of muzzle is absolutely as important as the shape of the muzzle, because if you have good width and good depth of the muzzle and good length of the muzzle, then they have that space in there to bring in scent and be able to have enough scent there to actually be able to discriminate exactly what that is.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that. I know you're
Yeah.
very knowledgeable about a lot of things like that, so kind of I'm taking the opportunity here to pick your brain a little bit.
No, that's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah. So, so we've got the two final dogs up here, the male and the female. Was it an easy selection for you, or you could have?
That's tough at the end. Anytime you get
your female's generally going to look more petite, as it should.
absolutely,
so just-
absolutely, yeah. Actually, at the end of that, they were both gorgeous. The red bone just had the perfect motion today. Hit the balance of where his feet hit the ground was so strong that there was just no denying him today. He never missed a step. Every time he stopped, he didn't turn any feet in, turn no feet out. Everything, his bone, good solid feet, the short pasterns. A dog that's well let down, and he was very well let down. And let's talk about that, because that's a term that you find in standards that is a little bit confusing to some. Well let down actually involves having short hocks, a nice hind structure, and reasonably short hocks. When you keep most of your length of bone in the hind structure, in the upper part of the leg, then attached to long bones you have long muscle, which increases endurance. And so if you have a dog with a very nice hind structure and not a lot of length in the hocks, it gives them great endurance. And we want to keep endurance. Now, I get it. Sometimes a hunt might be a 2-hour hunt. But as a breeder and as a judge, you're looking for the dog that can run all night. You're not really looking for those ones that could make it. Most dogs could make it through a 2-hour hunt. But at the end of the night, when the sun's coming up, which dog's going to still be strong? So judging shows that's the type of thing you're looking for, the dog that you feel can do it in the woods, negotiate the rough terrain, and do that easily all night long.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you're judging dogs, regardless of what it is, I'm sure you probably have like a checklist of sorts that you kind of go down through and check off your boxes mentally when it comes to evaluating a dog. Can you speak on that a little bit, what that might look like?
Yeah, I think the most important thing in judging dogs, and especially judging dogs in a hunting environment where a number of the dogs are going to have a fault. Okay, these are hunting dogs first and foremost. I think it's a huge mistake to go down through the dogs and eliminate dogs based on a fault. Because what you're really looking for is which dog comes closest to the standard. You could have a dog that is perfect in every way, but it has ears that are a little too short. Or maybe they're set a little too high on the head. So in my mind, I have to now determine, would that fault, how much would that particular fault hold that dog back from doing what it was bred to do? And you want to judge dogs based on their excellence, and don't ever get in that, well, I eliminated this one because of this. Fault judging is a negative way to judge, and what it would give you really at the end of that is you could end up with a pretty average dog that doesn't have any glaring fault, but isn't necessarily the best.
Yeah, well, I think you just hope our listeners kind of caught on to that, because that's interesting to not get caught up with fault judging.
That's an easy way to judge, but
It
it's
is
the wrong way.
It is.
You know, because a dog can have that one fault, but in your mind you have to decide how much is that fault going to hold that dog back from doing its job. Now, there are some faults that are probably going to eliminate the dog, because if the structure's so bad that it, you know, it can't function, then in that case, you know, a very serious fault, or obviously a disqualification, would then take the dog out of the competition. But you have to know that you're looking at hunting dogs, primarily hunting dogs that were bred to do a job. And so you look at what is that dog's fault. You do try to see what are their strengths, what are their faults. Then you have to weigh which dog's going to be the most effective.
Yeah. So today in the show, I noticed when we looked at all the males, brought all the males in, we did it a little bit differently, kind of introduced them all, and the whole class is in here before you ever come into the ring and start judging any of them, for that matter. You might have seen them come in, but as far as individual. So that now you take a dog and you kind of start looking the dog over on the ground. Then you have that dog gated, and then you move on to the next one, and so on down the line. When the females came in, we did the same thing, but this time you had them up on the bench, and you kind of went over every dog, kind of went down the line and kind of looked over each dog. Then you came back and now looked them over more, and then you had them gate. Why the difference? Does that
there wasn't a specific difference, but
you still judged everything the same. It's just a little bit different. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to negotiate around where the cameramen are.
I got you.
And what's their view going to be.
Yeah.
And what are the dogs comfortable with. They seem to be actually, some of them are much more comfortable on the bench than on the ground.
Right.
So I get that.
Yeah.
So I just tried to put them where they would seem to be the most comfortable, and just something that would work the most for, you know, them trying to videotape it and whatnot.
Yeah, so, you know, we were kind of talking about it, you know, and thinking, you know, you've seen them all gate now. You've kind of went through them again, each one individually. And then at that point, you kind of know about where you need to make, that point it becomes, you just need to get it down to the nitty gritty, I guess.
Yeah, well, I like to let everybody see all the dogs. I figure even the ones that aren't winners are truly great dogs.
Yeah.
And there's people there that are there to see that breed. And so I like everybody to get a good view. And I like to move dogs. I like side motion. I like to see side motion. It tells me a lot of things regarding balance, what the top line's doing in motion. You know, I like motion is what carries the dog through the woods, and it's very, very important. So I do look more probably at motion than some judges. It's always been just important to me in particular.
Well, Dan, I didn't intend to take so much of your time here, but it's interesting, and I know you're always interesting. We've had some conversations like this before, but I appreciate you taking the time and also for judging the show today and here in the finals. And I don't know if you have any final thoughts you'd like to remarks you want to make here, but I'll give you an opportunity to do so if you want to.
Well, it's a big responsibility. Some people, you know, may even be brand new to coonhounds, but there's been many generations of people's blood, sweat, and tears going into these dogs for many, many years. You know, they've developed these bloodlines. So I would encourage everybody to just learn about the breed, learn about all of it. Don't just pick part of it. Like you say, some people are like, I don't care about a pretty dog, I just want a hunting dog. But a well-made hunting dog, they can get it done a little bit more effectively than a not as well-made hunting dog. Might help get you in the winner's circle. So I would encourage everybody to learn both sides of that, the physical structure and the hunt characteristics. And that goes to the show people also. I encourage them, even if they're not going to go out and travel and go to all of the hunts or try to have the #1 coonhound dog in the country, they need to get the dog in the woods and see what its characteristics are so that they can really know how to breed that dog to best improve that bloodline. Now, the show people and the hunt people, the more they get together on this, the healthier it is for the breed. The more they separate from this, the worse it is for the breed. If you're breeding dogs for show and you're not testing their hunt, you could run yourself into the same dilemma that other breeds have run into, that after many generations of that, the hunt instincts, once they're gone, they are gone. You are not getting it back. I mean, the only way you could get it back, you have to breed into it. So I would just encourage everybody, keep your show dogs, get them in the woods, see what they do. I'm not saying get them so highly trained, or I'm not saying you have to run the country and be in a different state every weekend and win all the big hunts. But know what you're breeding. If you love the breed, breed quality, and breed quality on both sides of the fence, because one side or the other is half a dog. We want whole dogs. And that's the great thing about coonhounds. There's a lot of really beautiful coonhounds that show up in these hunts. Some of these guys, Alan, they don't even realize what a beautiful show dog they have. I don't think they've ever tried to show it. You know, and it's not really that hard with just a little bit of practice. It's not a hard thing to do. It's not nearly as hard as training a dog to go out and handle and run coon.
Yeah,
So
that's
process.
That's right. And I think, a lot of them we see a lot of them, the winners, hunt winners, that are taking their pictures made, and they've never worked on the part about with getting the dog to stand nice and for a photo and correct and things like that. But you're right, there's a lot of well-made hunting dogs out there.
You see them standing around at the hunt and they're just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then the guy puts it on the bench and shoves its stomach up and does all these things to it. And you look at it, you go, oh my goodness, that was a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Just, it's not a hard thing to learn. There's a lot of stuff even on YouTube for showing dogs. And most of the show people, they're very helpful. They'll help you learn to show the dog. But present your dog in its best light, even if it's a hunting dog.
Yeah.
Let everybody see what a gorgeous dog it is. Now, you need to learn a little bit about the standard and a little bit about how to stand the dog to be able to do that. But it's not that hard. Everybody can do it. I see little 8 and 10-year-old children doing it, so I know it can be done.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of children, we had a couple of young handlers out here today. I don't know if you really paid much attention to that, but there's a couple of young ones, and from one spectrum to the other.
Yes.
The lady handling the blue tick, she was probably one of the older handlers out here, but there were a couple of young handlers that did pretty well today as well. So
yes. They do a great job.
Dan, thank you again. And it was good sitting down here and picking your brain a little bit.
Right.
Thank you for that.
I enjoyed it. Anytime, Alan.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a perspective from someone that's obviously very knowledgeable and opinionated on the importance of solid structure, et cetera, on hunting hounds. This wasn't my first time listening to Dan, but I always enjoy listening to his perspective on just that. So I hope you enjoyed that. With Eukanuba, I've found digestibility is as good as it gets. I've also discovered daily rations are less, with a solid stool and no waste. I've not had a dog that doesn't like it or that hasn't performed as good or better on Eukanuba. But don't take my word for it, folks. Give it a try. Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC. Now the only thing remaining to decide at the World Championship is the final cast. We're talking about Saturday here, and 3 dogs. 3 dogs left, and the thing that always kind of is a little sad about the World Championship by Saturday, we've got 3 dogs in the final cast, and the most important cast of the weekend, and a lot of the people have left. But there was still a pretty good little crowd there, and it's just different these days than it used to be. I think in the old days we used to have more of a crowd that would stick around, but I think the advent of social media, where we post a lot of pictures, a lot of video, and things like that, and folks are going to be able to see it on the live stream, they can watch it. So there's still it's like I said, it's kind of sad, but a lot of them had their friends there, or some friends there to support them, and that's all good. And a lot of the locals came out to watch that. So, the 3 dogs. So we're talking about Fergie, Randy Ficken, his first time even being in the top 100. How does that happen? Never happened to me, So, but first time. So there's a lot of interesting things on Randy here, and you'll hear from that here in a minute. But then you had Braxton Wills from Oklahoma hunting the Joe dog, 15-year-old kid. Man, what a big stage for him. He's been hunting for a good while, probably 5, 6, 7 years, I guess, hunting in the hunt. So it's not like he's new or anything, but just being that young, and he really handled, if there was any pressure, it was hard to see it. He really covered it up well, but and did so well. Kudos to him, and wow, 15 years old, being in the final cast. He now becomes the youngest to handle a dog in the final cast, and he's actually a co-owner on this Joe dog. Before that, it was back in 2005, I think, was Austin Sigmund was hunting a dog in 2005, so at 16 years of age. So. But anyways, later, and then obviously Casey Maggard with Little Lacey. But yeah, so those guys are hanging around, and they're on the phones, and when you sit down and talk to them, you can hear they're getting texts. You can hear all the little beeps and everything, getting another text, and that's just crazy. But that's good to see. All their friends are wanting to wish them well and all this and that on Saturday. But later on Saturday evening, we had some pizza and drinks for everybody that was still there, and had a good crowd, as I mentioned. And, you can feel a little tension in the handlers, but that's expected. And who wouldn't be a little tense, but it's a good tense. And like as mentioned, I had the chance to sit down and chat with all 3 at the same time, 3 of the handlers. So let's take a listen to that conversation and get their thoughts merely a couple hours before showtime here. Well, fellers, Saturday afternoon, sitting here with 3 winners, 3 dogs still in it, but Braxton Wills from Oklahoma. Congratulations, man.
Thanks, sir.
Randy Ficken from Missouri.
Thank you.
First time at the World Hunt, right?
Yeah, first time here.
Congratulations. Casey Maggard, you've been in big stages a bunch of time, and Lacey got you here again. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, hey, let's start with Casey. I'm just going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about what your weekend's been like here in Marshall.
Oh, overall it's been great. I think first and foremost, I got to thank you guys for this, putting on this event, and the facilities. It's a nice place. Other than that, as far as the location for the hunt, great hunting, good guides, had good cast, treat a bunch of coon, and yeah, it's been a good time.
makes it more fun when things work out in your favor too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Randy, what's your weekend been like here?
Well, it's been great. I have to agree with what Casey's saying. You know, the UKC event, it's been great. Great location. Every cast has been fun. Train a lot of coon, and it's after each round, it's still just amazing that it's still moving on. You know,
Yeah.
it's been great.
Yeah. Braxton.
Man, I'll tell you, it's been fantastic. Y'all do a good job with this, and I got to agree, just been a blast up here.
Well, hey, there's always I think Trevor and I get a lot of the accolades and this and that, but we have a good staff behind us, and I think that's, putting people in place to help. We don't do it all, and there's a lot of people that make it happen, but it's, you always want to get through this weekend and have as few problems as possible. It's never perfect. You can't make it perfect, but you can. The more effort you put into it, I think you can make it better for everybody. So I know a lot of people tries, but we appreciate those kind words. But man, it has been, I don't know if you guys realize it, but it has been dry in this part of the country. So the amount of coons that have been scored here in these 2 nights, or Thursday and Friday, has just amazed me, to be honest, more than I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, to me, based off the number of coons scored, that just kind of shows you what the population is here, especially how dry it is, how many you see sitting up. You're walking to a dog treat, and I guess that little bit of rain yesterday evening, that really helped.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that. Seeing a lot of coons sitting up, a bunch of them scoring on a bunch of them, and then seeing of them. Some are talking, 10, 15, 20 of them.
Yeah, we scored. I believe last night, early round, we scored 11. And we seen well, yeah, we seen well over 20 plus.
That's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you kind of, it's been dry over in Oklahoma too, isn't it?
Yes, sir, we've been bad dry. We're begging for rain. We ain't had rain probably over 2 months.
Yeah, so your dog is probably kind of used to this.
Yeah.
Well, what's it been like in Kentucky or?
Same.
Is it
Last
same?
week we got
Yeah.
a little bit of rain, but not enough to amount to anything. But the last month it's just been hot and dry.
Yeah, well, hey, let's, Braxton, 15 years old, man. How long have you been hunting?
I've roughly been hunting 7, 8 years. I started right when I was 8, coming 9, and just kind of
That's
kicked
a long
up.
time.
Yes, sir. For a kid my age, it is.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it is. So let's tell our viewers where you're from and what's your home life look like.
Well, I'm from a town in Oklahoma, a little town about population probably 200 pushing it. A little town called Wyandotte, Oklahoma, and my mom and dad, they got married. My stepdad, James Jones, got married roughly 7 years ago, and he always hunted. I didn't have a clue about hunting until he came around, and he started hunting, and I'll be honest with you, I thought it was the most stupidest thing out. And then I seen him just kind of still go. He went about every night, and about 30 nights in, and me seeing him be gone every night, and I finally told myself, I got to try this. And I went about 4 or 5 times and just kind of kicked off from there.
What were some of the first dogs you hunted? Were they always walkers?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's walkers kind of always stuck with me. My first dog was a dog out of Cheyenne, Cummings Mafia dog named Trash. He was a winner. He wasn't my caliber dog in today's time, but I dang sure liked him.
So when did you first start going to a competition hunt? Was it soon after you started, or did you? What'd that
was
look
about
like?
2 years of me pleasure hunting and just kind of learning the trades and all that. About 10, I went my first hunt at Seneca, Missouri.
Yeah, that's over at Cheyenne and Jen's. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Little connection. We're going to talk about that later. Their dog's off their shack dog or whatever. Yeah. So did you hunt in a lot of the youth hunts around and?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, my first hunt, now that I think about it, is youth nationals. When y'all had youth nationals at Seneca, that was my actual first
That
hunt.
was your first one? Gosh,
Yes,
that
sir.
was hot that weekend.
Oh, it was bad.
It was miserable hot.
It was hot.
Like 100 degrees. I remember that was tough. But
That's a
So that-
typical day for us.
yeah, so that was your first one of your first UKC hunts.
Yes, sir.
Did you do any good there or what?
No,
No.
we just got throttled. A buddy of mine had a black dog up from Sedalia, Missouri, and he throttled me.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's just ate up with it now.
Yes, sir.
Hey, if it weren't for competition, do you think you'd still coon hunt?
Yeah, I would. Just love it for the sport and kind of addicting, just like going out there and cutting a good dog loose and tree, and kind of don't get much funner, in my opinion.
Hey, I always tell people the one thing that's different, if you like playing sports, and I always did different kinds of sports and just compete with anything, but if you and I are on a team, we can kind of work together and try to work together, make things happen. With this, your teammate is an animal that you don't have the same type of control, and it's a different element.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Randy, let's what should folks know about you?
Well,
I've known you for a long time.
Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. I'm from House Springs, Missouri. It's about 30 miles south of St. Louis. Married. We got 2 kids. I actually started out hunting a couple walker dogs. I was back in my high school days, back in the early 90s. And then Spencer Glisson, he lived right out there. You know, he had the red bones. He's had a bunch of good ones.
Yep.
So that's how I got started with the red bones. And I still have red bones. I got Fergie, I guess, about 4 years ago from Brian Genuine. And, I mean, just been enjoy hunting her, you know.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what do you do for occupation?
I'm actually a laborer out of the local 110 union there.
Yeah.
I work for a masonry company there.
Yeah. London, Kentucky. That's where you live, right, Casey?
I'm probably about 30 minutes east of London.
Okay,
but
that's where Jack lives.
in
Jack
London.
lives,
I live in a small town called Hyden,
Okay.
home of Tim Couch, if you
Yeah.
remember him. Yeah. We live in the mountains, I guess you could say.
What made you want to coon hunt?
Well, I don't really think there was anything that made me want to. I remember, heck, from when I was 3 or 4 year old, all my family coon hunted, you know, and I got to tag along. Sometimes I can remember riding on the shoulder of my uncles, you know, going to a tree or just hanging out with them during the day at the dog kennel. You know, it's been a family tradition. I can't remember a time that there's not been a hound, you know, around the house.
Yeah, I know where you live. It's up and down. I go through that part of the country quite a bit, and I always think going through places like that, I'm not sure if I would hunt if I lived here.
Yeah, you know.
It's probably something you get used to, or if you live there.
We don't necessarily hunt right there where I live. You know, in the winter we can. We've got a lot of snakes and stuff, but we can make a drop or two in the winter. But most of the time we'll drive an hour or up to 2 hours to go hunting, you know, to get into some better terrain and better coon population.
Yeah. How old were you when you started night hunting?
I guess first cast I may have hunted in, I was probably around 10 or 11. I remember it being a UKC hunt there at the local club. I was hunting a red bone. His name was Maggard's Ramblin' Red Joe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So let's talk about these dogs you're hunting tonight. It's kind of 2 of them off of Shack. Cheyenne Cummings, mentioned him, Cheyenne and Jen Cummings there. National Grand Champion, won Autumn Oaks one time, was in the top 100 several times. 3rd place at the World Hunt here a while back. But both Fergie and Joe are off of Shack. So let's start with you. So Spring Creek Joe, he's off of Shack. What's his bottom side look like?
He's off a Bone Collector female.
Yeah. Do you know what female it is?
No, sir, I don't.
One of Doug's females, or okay, yeah. So how did you? Now Vic is your partner.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has he had him since he was a pup or what?
He bought
Vic
him
Hurley.
He bought him as a year old, just right around 15, 16 months old. Cheyenne bought him from a guy down in a little town named Watts, Oklahoma, and Shy bought him, and Shy liked him, and Vic had a dog named Tucker out of Shack, and he got hit on the road hunting one night, and Shy had him and liked him, and then Vic bought this one and kind of been stuck with him ever since.
Yeah. When did you end up with him?
I've hunted him off and on his whole life. He's had him for just about 4 years now, and Vic, he likes him. Vic's pretty much just a pleasure hunter, and he'll want to go to hunts. He'll call me and we'll go to hunts, and I hunt him in hunts forever, just local hunts and winter classics and all that. And About 2 months ago, right around July, he called me. My queen jip had pups on her. I didn't have nothing to hunt. He called me, just plumb out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it or nothing. He called me and asked me, he said, "Hey, Brax, you want to go partners on Joe? You push him in the hunts, and I'll pretty much just drive you around and go whatever hunts you want to," and just kind of kicked off from there. I've had him roughly about 2 months now.
Oh, yeah, that kind of worked out.
Yes, sir.
You put a good dog in your hands, and, yeah, he's your truck man stuff. But what is it that you like about the dog?
Heart. Got a lot of heart. That's the main thing I like. Consistent country and just got a lot of heart's what I like about him.
Yeah, yeah. Randy, what about Fergie?
Fergie, she's off of Shack, and Brian Skaggs, yeah, his lady female, and ladies goes back to Ladies Man, and then on the bottom side, a little bit lower, she goes back to Track Man. But I've had her for about 4 years now, and got her from Brian Genowine, and she's always just been in the kennel. I've hunted her, pleasure hunter. I never have really campaigned her until probably the last year and a half or so. I started pushing her in the hunts a little bit. Went to the Winter Classic, did some good down there. Went to a couple breed hunts, did some winning there. But I guess this here would probably be the first major big, the finals, the UKC finals here that I've had her in.
Biggest accomplishment so far for her.
So far, definitely.
Yeah. Casey, what about you? Tell us how yours is bred.
Lacey, she's out of world champion Rackham Willie. J.R. Gray owns him. Her bottom side, she's out of her mommy's out of Trick Magic. I ain't sure her name exact. But Lacey had a litter mate named Doc Holliday. He's done a bunch of winning in other registries. That seemed like a good litter.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you've won a lot with her. She is. You hunt a lot of the other registries, PKC and Pro Sport and stuff like that. But what are some of the bigger things that I know she was in the TOC top 6 a couple of years ago.
Yeah, she got in the top 6 of the TOC. Last 2 years she's made it to the finals of the final cast of the AKC World Hunt. She got 3rd both times. She won the Fall Super Stakes, I think, in 2021 and 2022, the Junior and Senior Super Stakes. And we got 2nd in a Pro Sport hunt that paid $20,000. The rest of it was, just Pro Classics and stuff like that.
Have you primarily been the one to handle her, or has anybody else been handling her too, or what?
Overall, I guess I probably have, but my good friend Eric Pyatt, he's had her. He hunted her some. I got married September 2 years ago, and he got her there, and he kept her a few months, and he hunted her. He done really well with her. Eric actually got her in the finals of the AKC World both times too. Yep.
Yep, I know Eric. He's a good guy. He's struggling with some health issues right now, and we're all thinking of him. He's a good guy, man.
Yeah, Eric is a good man and good friend. He sure is.
Yeah, I'm sure he's pulling for you here tonight. But yeah, so what is her hunting style like? How would you describe her?
She goes hunting. She trees coons. She's going to be by herself. Seems like she's consistent, about what she does, and usually she keeps her nose out of the trouble, and that's kind of how we always win. It's not by going out here and just treeing 5 or 6 singles in a cast. We're on her toes from the start to the finish. It's like she can find a way to win.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't ask you, Braxton, but what have you had any big wins with Joe so far?
No, sir, I really ain't. I've just went to a couple hunts, bunch of open hunts, but really this is about the first thing I've really put him in.
Okay, what about anybody before you were handling him?
Connor Durree hunted him for Vic and made top 64 TOC 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so, one thing is kind of usually you have this average age of dogs is about what you guys have here, but it seems there's always a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old in here. We got 2 5-year-olds and a 6-year-old here.
Yeah, all seasoned hounds.
Yeah, so hopefully we won't be running any deer into the dumb stuff tonight. But so what do you just from what do you, have you hunted with any of each other's dogs at all? Obviously not this weekend, but any other time?
I don't think so. Maybe Braxton went on a cast last year at the PKC World Hunt. Me and him may have spectated, I think.
Oh, yes, sir. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think Eric was hunting Lacey, and
Yeah.
we walked along, but that's
Yeah.
about
So
it.
what have you? I don't know. Have you sized up, asked around about each other's dogs a little bit, and have you thought about what tonight's hunt might look like?
I really haven't at this point. I'm just thankful to be here. And after this 2 hours is over, it's going to be what it's going to be. If I win or either one of these guys do, I'm thankful, and I'll shake their hand when we're done.
Yeah. You thought about much about it? Did you get much sleep today, Randy?
I got a little bit of sleep. I mean, it was a little nerve-wracking, hard to fall asleep, and it's amazing how many text messages and friend requests and just stuff that comes through your phone, people congratulating you and wish you luck and everything,
Yeah. What about you, Braxton? Long day today, or
Yeah, long
anxious?
day.
What?
I'm not so much anxious. Just
You keep telling me you're not nervous, but
a little bit, getting closer to time. But man, I'll tell you, I went to bed about 7:30 this morning. About 8:15, I was ready to get on my phone and see all what was going on.
yeah. I think it's always good to have a little bit of nerves or whatever, I guess, but that's just normal. But no, man, I'm looking forward to tonight's hunt, and I think it should be a good one. We hope. You always hope for that, and tree several coons is always good. I know the place that we're going, they say, is a long stretch, 3 miles wide, something like that. So I'll be able to stretch out a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Have you? How's your dogs holding up, guys? Has it last 2 rounds last night?
It's kind of hard to say. Lacey seems like she's the same dog if you hunt her 5 nights in a row or just one night. But I'm sure they feel it. And you being out here away from home, it's hard on them, to rest and all that. But I think she's holding up okay.
Yeah. What about Fergie?
She's looking pretty tired today. I think leading up to the zones and to the finals, I really didn't have a whole lot of hunting time put on her, so she wasn't quite where she needed to be, as far as conditioning, in my opinion. But yeah, she's looking a little tired, but we'll see. She might have one more in her.
I saw when you had Joe in here a little while ago, he looks like he's up for another hunt tonight.
Yeah, he's getting pretty wore out from going from Autumn Oaks, having a weekend off, going to zones, and coming up here. It's just about getting to him.
Yeah. Well, what? I don't know. What? Any more thoughts on tonight's hunt? Whole weekend here.
Yeah, there's a couple people I'd want to thank. Mainly my parents for just being there and supporting me and kind of showing me into this ordeal. And the main person, Vic Hurley, for always hauling me around and giving me a good dog to hunt and being supportive.
Well, hey, congratulations for being here. It's enjoy it. That's what I'll tell you. Enjoy it. Enjoy every minute of it. It's not easy to get here. I hear that all. I've never been here other than in this seat, so I'm here every year. But but you hear guys talking about how hard it is to get here, and that's what I'm going to tell you. Soak it in and enjoy every minute of it. Enjoy it. Randy?
Yeah, I mean, I like to just thank you guys for having such a good hunt, and friends and family that I have the opportunity to be able to do this. That come out and be able to hunt and take time away from the family and be able to do come to the finals.
Yeah. And you're very welcome. Appreciate that. We're talking about Braxton here being a young kid. To be able to get here is a pretty big feat. He's going to have a lot of people rooting for him. I know that. I know, Randy, you've always been one of the good guys, and I know you got a lot of supporters as well. So you're talking about things like that. I remember I bring it up a lot. J.R. Gray in 2018. I'll never forget it. that's the first I ever really met the guy. He comes there and he does well, and he ends up winning the whole hunt. You know, he kind of had to be talked into even bringing his dog to the hunt, and does well, wins it, and his dog's one heck of a reproducer. And I look here 5-6 years later, here's Casey Maggard sitting here with a dang good female in the same position, could win the world hunt too. That's neat how these things work out. But anyways, Casey, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, like Randy said, I'd like to thank you guys, for putting this hunt on and the way you guys do things. And I'd like to thank my wife, she's a coon hunter's wife, man. It's crazy, how they can put up with somebody going hunting if you hunt 3, 4, 5 nights a week, going to these hunts. I was going last weekend to Florida, now this weekend, I haven't got to spend much time with her, but that means a lot. And, the rest of my family, my parents, especially my Uncle Jack, he owns Lacey, and, I'm just fortunate with the people that's behind me, it means a lot. Very appreciative.
Yeah, well, hey, thank you guys, and congratulations again. I appreciate you all taking the time, and it'll be good for this will air after it's all over and happened, but it's good for people to kind of hear your perspectives, talk about your dogs before you go out and stuff like that. So good luck to all of you, and I think we got some food over here, so we'll go have some food and get a little time here before dark 30, and we're going to go have us a coon hunt.
Sounds good.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
Good to me.
All righty, guys. Thank you all, and good
Thanks.
luck.
Alan, I know we both have new Dogtra Pathfinder 2s. How are you liking yours so far?
I'm liking it. I've even had the opportunity now to use mine where I didn't have service, where I download the map of that area, and it works flawlessly. Love it.
I agree. I really like my Dogtra Pathfinder 2 as well. I've used it quite a bit the past few months. I really like the crystal clear maps. I like that it doesn't lose service very much, and I don't have many bad things to say about it at all. Dogtra Pathfinder 2, the official GPS collar partner of UKC.
Yeah, so that was good stuff right there. Good guys, too. All three have a pretty laid-back personality, but you could tell this wasn't just your regular coon hunt on this night. And I tried to encourage them to soak it all in and just enjoy every minute of it. After that interview with Casey, Randy, and Braxton, I pulled in our live stream crew, Jamie Eastep, and the two color commentators, Steve Burkholder and Rick Stretch, to get their thoughts and perspective on the weekend's chain of events. And so here's that chat that we had. Here's that. So take a listen.
Well, for me, it's been an awesome time. Anytime you can come to a major event, enjoy yourself, see people that you only get to see at major events, and then see the couple of guys have reminds us of what this weekend means. Just the other night when we were doing the interviews, Kevin Sesser, seeing the emotions that he had, and then today flipping from the hunt to the show. Just after the show, I was walking back over to the media side and had the opportunity just to walk by Curtis Elburn after Andy had just won the world show, and seen him in tears walking up to his daughter. And so if you want to kind of recap the weekend of what this weekend means, I think if you look at those two guys and see what their experience was, I think that answers everything. It don't really need to say much else. And if we could see the emotions of everybody, I think that answers my question of what it means, and it reminded me of what we're doing here this weekend. So what do you guys think?
That I probably wouldn't have brought that up, Jamie, but that does. That's probably number one.
Wow.
That's probably number one, because this is an emotional event, and the closer you get to the final round, I think the more your emotions will start playing into it. These guys tonight that we're going to be watching and listening to and rooting for, whoever we root for, they right now they're pretty calm, they're pretty cool and collected. But I can just remember the only time I ever cried at a coon hunt was this round right here. Yeah. And Alan was out there with us, and I mean, it's just like your whole lifetime you try to get this world title if you competition hunt. And we, as far as coon hunters goes, we're only scratching the surface. whenever we mention competition hunters against all the other coon hunters out there. But emotionally, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the finish line, like those guys, it really plays a part of it. And I think I would rank that pretty high. The next thing is the number of coons we've scored on in this dry weather. I mean, I rode out here kind of down a little bit thinking about it, kind of depressed about it, that, hey, our scores are going to be 1 or 2 coons every cast. And, boy, did this club in this area prove me wrong and proved a lot of us wrong, I think, that thought it would be hard to tree a coon around here this weekend. And we've been treeing a lot of coons.
And just to kind of a storyline that we'll talk more about tonight when we get into the live program, but a few minutes ago, you and I were talking to Dean Daughtry, one of the lead judges and the guide that will be taking the cast out. Fully expect to have a coon treeing contest tonight in the way that he described. He said a creek bottom, and I said, will it have water in it? He said, yeah, it'll have water in it, and we'll have crops on both sides. So it sounds like it's going to be set up for a coon treeing contest as well. So, Steve, you have any thoughts?
Absolutely. I think for me, a couple things. Jamie's over here laughing.
I'm over here hosting. I said, you got any thoughts?
Yeah.
I forgot my role here. Yeah.
I
forgot.
I think for me, watching the show today, the young competitors. I seen 2 in the bench show in the final when they was picking the males and the females. There was a couple of youth in there that was young, and I mean they had won their breed, or their male or the female or whatever, and I mean they had to be in their probably not maybe just in their early teens, and obviously in the hunt we have a teenager, a young person, and I just had to kind of reflect on over the years, in my mind. Coming to this hunt year after year, you didn't see a lot of that, and to be able to see that now is kind of it's really pretty awesome. And then the second thing is the amount of competitive casts that we had. Looking at some of these cards, coming down to the wire, casts going into overtime. So and that happens. And to Rick and Jamie's point. That happens when you have coons to score on, and they obviously did an outstanding job on that. But just the competitiveness, the competitiveness in the cast, and then obviously youth is really exciting to see. Our sport has in good hands on a lot of good group of youth coming up. So, and to see them being able to compete on a high level.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Saw a lot of that, and quite a few youth handling dogs in the show today, and like you said, did well. But you go ahead.
And to see that emotion, I mean, I know that I think it was the females. I can't remember if it was the females or males, but the 2, I know the black and tan and the leopard, it was both 2 young handlers, and it was quite a tedious process. The judge took quite a bit of his time and stuff, and you could see that it was wearing on. I mean, like they was trying to pull everything out they had in them, and just seeing that raw emotion of what they was going through, it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of emotions, you mentioned Andy winning the bench show. Back when the show was in Wooster, Ohio, I don't remember what year it was, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago. Was the first time she won it. She's won the world show before. But, for today, one of the things they didn't have here was their mom. So I'm sure they thought of that today. So that was a big part of it. But you mentioned the same thing, and I've seen that a lot, over the years. And, Rick, I'm sure you've seen it too. But, I always thought that was the coolest thing. There's a lot of awards. There's a lot of prestige that goes with it. But so many times I've seen guys down in the woods with their dog.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That says it all.
I remember to say that. I remember
after the hunt's over,
yeah.
And there's, not just that, not to butt in here, but I remember that night when you won it with Frisky. I remember that well, and I that kind of surprised me a little bit in a way, because you've been there a lot, I thought, but still that just went to show how much that really means, more than you can probably fathom until it happens to you. But in the same sense, I've already seen guys sitting there, knelt over top of their dogs, tears dropping down.
The people don't realize that I probably wouldn't have even went to that event if it hadn't been for Brian and Clean making it through. I won my cast both nights at the zones, or she did, both nights at the zones at Flora, and we were calling back and forth throughout the night, you know, how's he doing when we would move. And I believe Brian lost on Friday night. And I thought, man, if he loses tonight or don't get a good enough score, I'm not going to go down there. I'm not taking her down there. And I just had that in my mind even leading up to the hunt, because I felt like Clean was probably the best dog breathing fresh air at that moment. And I just thought that he would be a repeat winner. So there was a lot of emotions for me, and all I could think about was my dad not being there. He tried hard for years when he was able to try to win a world hunt. And then, you know, I win this thing, and he's not even there for me to celebrate with. And then 2 years later, and I'll wrap it up quick, but 2 years later when we win the ACHA World Hunt up at Peru, I go in there to get her off a tree, and me and her sat down. I sat on a log, and she's give out. And the hunt's over, and I called my dad.
Yeah.
And we both cried. You know, just the emotions were pouring out of me. And at that time, ACHA wasn't as big as the UKC World Hunt, but it was still a world hunt. We still had to beat a lot of good dogs to get to the final and win the final. But even now, I'm kind of tearing up over it. But it's crazy good what we see happen here at this hunt. And Braxton is how old, Steve?
15.
15, yeah.
If he was to pull this off, he'll be known forever from this hunt right here.
100%.
People will know him for the rest of his life because of what happened right here at this event. Now, he'll go on to do other great things in his life, no doubt. But all the coon hunters and all the houndsmen will know him for what he accomplished. Yeah. And I look at him, and I'm talking to him today and watching his mannerisms and things, and it's not going to hit him until he gets home. Maybe it won't hit him for a week or two, but it'll finally hit him.
I'll tell you when it'll hit him. When he figures out how hard it is to get back here.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm telling you.
Isn't that crazy? You're right.
It'll happen when you figure
out. You're a good example.
And to that point, I mean, you know, Snooki was looking good coming in here. Snooki's Cookie. For those that don't know, I mean, won the World Hunt last year. Obviously got taken out last night in a shootout. She wasn't in the shootout. But you don't realize how hard that is until years down the road, you know. And another thing I wanted to touch on just real quick is, you know, this weekend, and maybe it's just because we've been here and that kind of thing and the way these hunts are going to, but the amount of sportsmanship that was showed this weekend by a lot of hunters and stuff like that, I was really impressed. I really was.
It seemed like it went pretty smooth so far.
It did. And I mean, there was a few questions, nothing out of, nothing extraordinary or whatever, but, you just didn't hear anybody come back in and it was just, what I heard more than that is, man, my dog looked good, I just got beat. Part of it. I heard that over and over, and to see that kind of sportsmanship displayed at a hunt that I'll promise you is any of us would do, and love to have a shot at winning it, you know. So
yeah, I sat down with the three handlers here a little while ago, and you're going to hear them on this podcast as well. But you both have been in there on this Saturday night before you go to the woods. When are your nerves the worst, if you have nerves, or what are you feeling? What are you feeling this evening? We're within the next hour. Hour and a half. We're gonna turn dogs loose.
Well, I'll go first because Rick obviously won the World Hunt. I'm it wasn't that I wasn't ready for it, and up at that point in time, I had already ran. I had won the Prina race the year before, so being under pressure, and the race was tight and that kind of thing. Hunted many casts that there was a lot of pressure on. Come down to the wire the first year on even winning that. So every cast I was going to, it was pressure. But here's the difference. Winning that was a great title. But coming to a World Hunt, there's just a different aura about it. And I know for me that whole day, I'm not saying I was nervous, but it was on my mind every single minute that I was awake. And you know, because there's so many things that go through your mind because you work so hard to get there. You know what I mean? For me, it was a little extra special because the dog I was hunting is one I raised as a puppy. You know what I mean? He was an off-colored dog, being a blue tick. You know what I mean? And no blue tick had won the world hunt. You know, so and that stuff starts playing through your mind. And then when it got closer to the hunt, I just started reflecting on how fortunate I was to be there. You know what I mean? And I remember when they come in and took them cast photos and stuff like that, and walking out to the truck. And then at that point in time, I wanted it to get dark. Like, I wanted it to get darker right now, and I wanted to just get rolling. And but hey, people can say it's just another hunt. I'll promise y'all, they can say that it's not just another hunt. It's the final four of the final cast of the UKC World. So it was a lot of up and down emotions for me.
I think riding out there that night on the final cast is when I started getting a little bit antsy. I remember that we got in on on Friday nights when we finished up Friday night, and that was we were still hunting under that. You know, we hunted. I believe we were under that rule there where the two lowest scores had to go back out.
Yep.
And one of the casts, I think, come in with a dead score, so that I didn't have to go back out. I had a pretty low score that round, but I didn't have to go back out. The other cast come in with a dead cast, I believe it was, and that's how we made the four. And so from there, I mean, that was kind of early in the night. Me and Brian and Brad Hall, and I think Mike Plaster might have been with us. There was a casino not very far away, and I went and took care of Frisky, and I put her in the motel room, and I'd done all the right things with her, and we went to that casino, and we stayed there till daylight, and we played and had fun, and I mean, it was awesome. And then
Got your mind off of it.
got my mind off
Got
of
your
it,
mind
went
off
back,
of it.
went to sleep, and slept all day, and then riding out there, I started getting antsy until the first dog barked. And then when the first dog barked, Alan was out there with us. It didn't go as planned at all that night. All the planning in the world, you couldn't have planned what happened to us out there that night. And from running for an hour, from trains going by within just a few yards from us, nothing seemed to go like you think it would have went. And
it was literally, I remember that. It was like, is that a train coming?
Yeah.
Where's the
I
train?
asked the guide, is there any trains coming? Oh, there's a track over there, but the train never runs through here. And about 3 minutes later, Alan and I are watching the cars go by while we're shining a tree. I think it was Asa Briggs' female that was treed there. And we're watching, and the dust, you could see the sparks from the wheels on the track. And then the dust off the train tracks, was just rolling in there on us. And so nothing was planned that night. It was really kind of a nervous night the whole time for me. But
The rest of the dogs were running a pig.
I thought mine had treed a pig. I didn't know she was running a pig, but I treed her on that pig. And her and Lincoln were I never heard my dog run. She run more that night than she did in her lifetime. And they blamed it on pigs. Everybody was out there, and I have to agree with them because I didn't. Man, it was just crazy the things that happened on that final cast.
Isn't it amazing how, I know we had a cast last night that, you plan it the way you can, and they may not go the direction that you want, and just when it starts going south like that, it's just hard to reel it back in. It really is.
Yeah, well, hey, those are some good stories. We need to wrap this up here pretty quickly here. It's about time to start thinking about getting the cast to the woods here and you guys getting up on set here. But, hey, I just want to get some final thoughts. It's been several years you guys have been doing it. It gets easier, do the live stream, but just your thoughts on the live stream. And I think it's been a good thing for us, really.
I enjoy it. It's it's really not work for me. My life is made with talking and TV and media with the church, and so sitting here hearing stories about these guys laughing at Rick saying his dog run a pig for an hour. That's just
True story.
And it's just enjoyable. And then sitting in there and, Rick going back talking about the old ACHA World Hunt makes me think of my cousin that got us started in it, Hank Horn, and he knows who I'm talking about with Hank winning the ACHA World Hunt. Hank and my mom were first cousins.
Really?
And,
Yeah.
And so, hunting a lot with Sandy up in Elkhart, Indiana, and things like that. So he was taking me back on a journey.
Steve, you remember that name, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, just this is fun for me. And this is what I say all the time. I get paid to do something that I enjoy.
You're getting paid?
Well, yeah, you're not, though. I am. So that's that's the difference between me and you. But it's truly just a lot of fun for me.
I love the fact that what this brings is, sitting on set and stuff like that is fun to look at, but it gives us interaction with the people. You know what I mean? And over the past 2-3 years, I remember when I first got on set, it was nerve-wracking. When my wife was texting me, telling me to quit clicking the pen and all that, But I think for me, it's the interaction I've got with the people, and then being able to bring some of that to the audience, to kind of bring it to people and into light of what it really is, whatever. I've really enjoyed that side of it, and still do. I've always enjoyed being around people, and it's just it's fun. It really is fun. Granted, it can be nerve-wracking at certain situations, but it's still fun.
Yeah, that's the best way to describe it. It's fun, and watching those finals go out tonight. It'll be even more fun for us to see him crown another champion. And I don't know. I think it just keeps getting a little better. I'm not going to say that we're getting any better or getting any, whatever it is, but the whole thing overall just gets better here at the TOC and at this World Hunt year after year.
I think something that I could say to that, and it's something that I try to take serious, and Rick was a part of it with me down in West Virginia, serving as the state president of West Virginia, is using this as an opportunity to showcase what we are and who we are. And Rick came down and did a little speech for me at our state youth hunt, and just done a great job. And this is what I look at it as tonight, is you keep saying to us, when I say you being Alan, we have viewers that maybe not necessarily coon hunters. We have viewers that don't understand what we are doing, and hunting itself and hound hunting can be in a bad light, but we get the opportunity to shine. And so that's something that I take very serious, even from a state level, to hear and try to, as you know, with the state president, investing in the next generation. And so that's I think that is something that I use it as try to share with people, that this is something for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I enjoyed the other night being a little part of it, with doing as the cast winners came in. That was fun for me, interacting with them.
Midnight Mayhem is probably still my favorite. It's fast-paced, and you get to talk to quite a few hunters, and the emotion is high. I love Midnight Mayhem, and for those that haven't, if you're listening to this podcast and you haven't tuned into something like that, it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours long, but I'm going to encourage you to go find it, 2024 UKC World Hunt. And it's called Midnight Mayhem, and it's a blast.
Yep.
On YouTube, it's a blast for sure.
And tonight we're here we're a man short here this evening, but he's where he needs to be, and that's Trevor. I know he wishes he was here, but having to leave here, and rightfully so. But
I think all three of us would give him a lot of kudos. The job that he does, I'm telling you, it's amazing to me how he's come along and how he's giving us a service, giving everybody a service that is unbelievable.
It shows the reality of what we do. I mean, you can, I was sitting there thinking I've never won the World Hunt, but I've won Autumn Oaks, and sometimes I have to think what year it was that I won National Grand, but I'll never forget standing at the last tree when they called it, when the hunt was over, bending down beside Shredder crying, and it makes me tear up, and Drew walking up as my backup handler, And Drew was probably, how old then, Alan?
12,
15,
13,
14.
yeah.
Drew walking up and putting both hands on my shoulders. I might not remember that it was 2016, but
Yeah.
You
I
remember
can
who
always
was there?
remember that.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. So, well, hey guys, I want to thank you here for all your help here again this weekend and what you provide for us here and getting this content out. And really, I can't express how much we appreciate it. It's we can't do it all. We need folks like you to help us, and you've certainly done an excellent job. And you say you don't know if you're getting better, man. I think Thursday was an example of that. We start nitpicking a little more, but that's how it works. And it's not an easy thing to do, but it is a fun thing. But we appreciate you guys. Thank you all.
Thank you
It's
so
our
much.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Man, we sure appreciate what this crew brings to the live stream. It's not easy for most to sit in front of a bunch of cameras and lights with folks sitting around and they have a director in their ear and this and that and still maintaining good poise and folks sitting around watching, but they do a pretty dang good job. Like anything, they review the footage and always try to improve on it, and they've certainly done just that. And they try to gather as much information about the dogs and the folks that are in it, and they take it serious. And when it comes to our goal of trying to put out good content and shed a positive light on the sport as it so deserves, man, they do a great job. And we greatly appreciate that. So, but anyway, so now Saturday, we're down to the final cast later in the evening. And here again, if you haven't already checked out the live stream of the final cast, go check it out. We think it was one of the best so far, and it ended with seeing an overjoyed winner in Casey Maggard and the good emotions that come with winning a world championship like this. Bryce Matthews, who sat in for Trevor Wade out in the field, reporting back things to me, and then to the live stream crew or to get it on the live stream. Bryce did an excellent job capturing his thoughts, talking about Casey Maggard, and just summarizing the hunt there in that final interview, and did a great job with that. So make sure you check that out if you haven't already. If you didn't get to watch it, watch it. After the cast return and final placements photos were taken, I did again sit down with Casey Maggard one more time to talk about Lacey and winning the World Hunt. And this guy was just overcome with emotions, and he was just absolutely, his face was just lit up there all night. If you looked at all three, and they of course, Randy and Braxton were disappointed to not win this, but they were all, so it couldn't have been better sportsmen. And but you could tell who won the World Hunt in Casey just by the light on his face. And but here's that conversation with Casey now. Man, she did it, Casey.
Yeah, I really can't believe it. It's a dream come true. Really is.
Jeez, walk us through it just to summarize the hunt. What were your feelings going out? How'd you feel going out?
Well, she's operated all week. The last three casts, she's done what she had to win. Every cast that I've had this week, it's come down to the end of got to have a coon to win.
Yeah.
And she's done that. It's like she knew it. And tonight it was kind of the same way. We cut loose and she gets struck pretty quick, under the minute, and she drives the track down to the creek and comes treed, and we go down there and score. She's got a coon. I get recut. Other dogs are treed just a few hundred yards. We go score them. They're on a circle tree. They get recut, and I hear Lacey way through there, and I get her struck in. I guess we had a little bit of downtime there maybe, and I think another dog got treed and made a circle tree, and then Braxton had got treed. The Joe dog, he was way through there, and at this time
it was a 3/4 mile away.
Yeah. We'd walked well over a mile from Lacey, and at this point I'm kind of getting worried, that if she's going to get out of pocket or I may not be able to.
You're walking in the opposite direction away from her.
Yep, opposite direction. We go score him. He's got a coon. On the way to him, that female gets treed again. So we're coming back, and we're going to score her. I guess halfway through the shine time maybe, I hear Lacey come treed. She's about 700. She'd kind of worked her way back in, good hearing. And at this time, I'm thinking Braxton's dog is treed, and I've kind of got to figure out what I need to do. I felt like I I should go ahead and tree before he does, and I was able to, and that was a long 700-yard walk, I'll be honest with you. If she's got a coon, we're a winner. If not, we're a loser.
Hey, so two things. So you're right out of the gate, first out of the gate. So that's got to be a little relief. Hey, we're in the game, and this is where we want to be. And then you kind of walked us through the other, but the game's not over at this point. There's, we've just got the first part done. So the last part, now you're talking about this here. Now she got her treat again, and you need this coon here.
Yeah, I mean, this is
going to probably wrap it up for you.
Yeah.
So you got this long walk. What are you thinking walking back here?
All week she's done exactly if what I could think, to ask her to do, that's what she's done. She's performed just like she needed to, and I was thinking, I feel like she's got a coon. I thought she'd done a good job the way she'd come treat and stuff. And we get in there, and I get her tied up. She's on the edge of a bean field in an oak tree. I turn my thermal on. I step out, and no sooner than I look up, that coon's just looking at me, both eyes. I said, "Oh my gosh!"
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's crazy to say this, but it's just like it was meant to be. Things just work perfect.
Yeah. And that basically at that point, the hunt was almost over at this point. Didn't really matter what the other two dogs did at this point, really.
Yeah.
They were both treed, and it didn't matter at this point, no.
Yeah, I think, at that time, I had 225 with 225 pending, so if that coon would have given me it'd give me 450. Braxton had treated a coon for 200, and he had 150
pending, right, yeah.
So I think when I got her handled, they might have been just a minute or two left.
Yeah, so Bryce Matthews was out there doing the play-by-play, and he interviewed you there, and we saw that on the live stream, and you could see that was the face of a champion, and just the thrill of that, I guess, and just the emotions was so good to see, man.
I can tell you, there's nothing like it. You may ask it some of these other guys that's won it too. They can explain that feeling. It's something else.
Well, I've been out there in the finals with a lot of different guys that to win this. Different guys show different emotions, but it was just pure elation for you. I don't know how to better describe it, but I guess you called your wife out there.
Yeah. I called her as soon as I saw that coon. I knew I'd won, and I said I've got to call Hannah and let her know, and she had done saw it, but yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so hey, Lacey is she's 5 years old now, and a world champion out of a world champion. I'm sure J.R. Gray's tickled to death.
He's excited. He was telling me all day today, "You're going to win, man. Just stay confident. You're going to win." He's going to take a picture with her and Willie and the trophies. I said, "Easy now, let's wait."
Yeah. So what? Geez, it's probably going to take a while for this to really, really sink in, I'm sure. But are you driving home tonight, or are you going to sleep overnight, or what?
Yeah, I'm going home.
You can't sleep yet.
No, I'm excited, and I miss being home, man. It's hard to stay going like this. I was on the floor last weekend and up here, for 3 days and long nights. So I'm ready to be home.
Well, I won't take any more of your time here, but man, great week. We appreciate you supporting the World Hunt and coming here, and just tickled to see somebody have a great weekend like you have with a good dog and everything work out, and just another good world championship and a good winner here. And you and Lacey are world champions. Congratulations, Casey.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Wow, guys, what a win, and what a good guy. Couldn't have all come together for a better guy, that's for sure. He'll be a great champion with a deserving dog who went out and flat earned that world title. So congratulations to Casey and his Uncle Jack, the owner of the dog, on this win here. So I'd also like to now take the opportunity to congratulate our overall breed winners of this year's World Championship, starting with the black and tan winner, overall winner, GRNITECH champion, Royal Freak Nasty, 5-year-old, owned by Brian Haskins, Mike Wilson, Darren Holloman of Arkansas. Our American Leopard Hound winner, GRNITECH champion, Ralph's Crispy Fried Bacon. That's a 7-year-old owned by Hunter Sneed of Kentucky. The Blue Tick winner this year was Grand Night champion Bluegrass Jennings. That's a female-owned, a 4-year-old female owned by Cole Nolan and Teddy Nolan of Oklahoma. If you go back to the winners, when the winners interviews on Thursday, the Thursday night or the Midnight Mayhem, when I tossed it over to the panel, the color commentators, I mentioned, or I said it was a Kentucky dog. So I apologize to Nolan there, but that's a Oklahoma dog, Bluegrass Jennings. The English winner was night champion Big River Quiet Riot, Clayton Brown and Dalton Brown from Indiana. These boys are twins, so we had a little bit of fun on that in the cast winners interview on Thursday as well. So congratulations to them, good boys right there. Plot Hound winner was Grand Night champion Savage Redwood Hokies Hatchet. Zachary Savage of Maryland is the owner there. Redbone Coonhound winner was Grand Night champion Outlaw High Rollin' Gambler. Alan Halata, Lindsey Morrow, and Tony Dominguez out of Texas own that dog there. Tony was up and hunting that dog. Treeing Walker Coonhound winner was obviously a Grand Night champion, Little Lacey, and the world champion. So that's our Treeing Walker winner. Jack Maggard out of Kentucky is the owner. And then we also recognize the X-bred or crossbred X-bred here. This case, it was Grand Night Champion 2, Pine Creek Blue Extreme Lee. That's a female, 3-year-old female owned by Jimmy Don Presley, Jonathan Nichols, and Martin Ballard out of Texas. So congratulations to each one of them, of those breed winners for this year's World Championship. And you can check out all matchups, results, et cetera, on our website at ukcdogs.com. And from there, go to Hunting Ops, and then to Coonhounds, and then finally to Standings and Results. And you can has a whole bunch of links, everything of the World Championship, and after that you'll see zone results and so on down. But that's where you find all that. Check it out. As mentioned earlier, Trevor is still in Tennessee at the time of this recording here, but he asked that I look at his thank you post on Facebook and use some of that content to be sure to let folks know how much he appreciates everyone who had a hand in the event, and as do I. But so I went back and looked what he posted, and so I copied some of those notes to be sure I don't miss some of the important ones he wanted to make sure I include here. So. He started his post by saying the list of thank yous is a mile long, and I couldn't agree more. There's a lot of folks behind the scenes to do a whole lot to make it happen. It's not always perfect, but that's not because a lack of trying. There's a lot of folks that put in a lot of effort. First, as always, we thank the hunters and show folks that out there, for participating. It was a great year of qualifying events that ultimately led to the highest number of dogs entered into the zone since 2016, actually. 577 dogs actually that were entered. And we also had the most dogs entered in the bench show since 2020, which was 146 that were pre-entered. And it's the support from our participants that makes it all so worthwhile and a good championship. I want to start out by thanking the host club, the Marshall County the Marshall Coon Hunters Club. Dean Daughtery is a guy I've known for a long time and was awesome to work with. And this is also Trevor saying this. He was awesome to work with, and his club members made life easy. That's from Trevor's perspective there. They put in a lot of effort to make sure they designated good guides with good places to hunt. They had 8 or 10 club members there when we pulled in on Wednesday to help us unload, and that sure set the tone for the whole weekend. It was obvious that they wanted this to go over well, and were there to lend a hand. Other local clubs that helped out with guiding and such was the clubs like Robinson, Shelburne, and the Greencastle Club, amongst others that had a hand in the event as well in terms of be it guides or otherwise, and that's what it takes to be successful. It takes a village sometimes. Thanks to all the guides and judges, the lifeline of Coonhound events for sure. They are guides and judges. Without them, these events are not possible. And again, here's a quote from Trevor. He says, "I've said before, and I'll say it again, I always remember who said yes." And he's talking about when he's asking judges, and that is so true. We really appreciate it. That's probably one of the hardest things to do, is to get enough judges to commit, and get the best that we can get, and good judges that are knowledgeable. And if you're hunting, our hunters deserve the best that we can possibly get them. So I will echo that. We appreciate that yes, and we'll always remember that yes. I can remember, I've been here for 20 years, and trust me, I can still remember a whole lot of yeses that I got along those years. Judges, I want to thank these judges, some who judge multiple times over multiple days in warm temperatures. It was warm this last weekend, and we're getting dogs that hunt deep a lot of times. There's a lot of walking that some of these judges do. So I want to recognize the following judges: Dean Doherty, Jeff Murphy, Austin Lane, Will Lane, Lee Wade, Justin Howard, Eric Stone, Glenn Michaels, Brock Hayes, Harold Johnson, Matt Lingo, Lane Estep, former world champion, Joe Caudle, Troy Salyers, Mike Seats, Jared Lehman, Dustin Brummett, Gary Miller, Brandon Kidd and his son Henry Kidd, Tom Lynch, Troy Shellhorn, Jack Bingham, Dan Sheridan, Thomas Bell, Mark Vandeventer, Ronnie Frua, and Terry Coulter. And if we have inadvertently left anybody out, we apologize, but hopefully we got everybody else, or everybody that judged a cast. And thanks so much to each and every one of you guys. We really appreciate it. And guides that didn't judge: Herman Hollingsworth, Tracy Inslee, Steve Weiss, Willis Martindale, Glenn Michaels, Nathan Trench, Tony Lane, Alan Stantz, Roy Marner, Steve Clodfelter, Thomas Bell, Ivan York, Kelly Eubank, Keaton Sexton, Dave Warner, Clayton Floyd, Darren Gear, Chuck Craig, John Bishop, Donnie Maver, Don Trueblood. And again, if we missed anybody, we apologize, and it was inadvertent. We certainly appreciate it. And some of the judges were also guided their own cast. So moving on to our bench show judges, I want to thank Bonnie Roundtree and Dan Mazalic. They did a phenomenal job judging on such short notice, and as Trevor said, it was good to hear their remarks when talking about their selections. Now, he wasn't there on Saturday, but he's getting that from the live stream and some of those remarks that he heard there. Field reps, they had some late nights, but they never complained, and I'll echo that. They sacrifice a lot for other hunters to be able to participate in the World Hunt. Doug Cundiff, Tim Gilchrist, Mark Vest, and Jamie Estep, and we're gracious to have these guys helping us, and have for a long time. Our newest is Mark Vest, all the way up from not Nebraska, from Texas, and thank you, men. And I want to mention also, Mark had a long way, 12, 13-hour drive, and he brought up a good buddy of mine, Randy Norris. And I just want to give a shout-out to Randy. He's struggling with some health issues right now, and has been for a good while, but I've got to know Randy a good many years ago, going down to Texas, and we've just became friends and good friends from the first time I met him down there. Went hunting with him on about every trip I've been down there. Hunted with old Earl down there, and it was good to see him, and I was glad that he could come up with Mark Vest, and Randy, we think of you often, but anyway, staff and workers of the events. He mentions myself, and I don't need any credit here. Trevor does a whole lot of it, but Megan Hartmus and Nicole Sedlecki. We were talking about it just today when we were on a Monday here as we record this, when Megan and Nicole and I were unloading, and with the four of us, including Trevor here, man, the four of us work so well together, and we kind of know what everybody's job is, and it's fun to work together, and I think that helps as well. And we've all got quite a bit of experience, and the girls help us so much. And Trevor and I, and we get a whole lot more yeses than we get nos, and that's always good. So, but like Trevor says here, he appreciates everyone just like I do, but we can say the same for Trevor. He does an awful lot too. And then there's also Annie Hammond, who stayed back here. She's in the media department, and this year one of our newer guys, Chris Ingram, who helps out with a ton on getting information posted to the results standing section of our website as soon as it's available. They do a great job with that. We get it back here to them, and they get it posted. They're not working on Saturday. They're not in the office or Sunday, but guess what? Their job is to get it posted, and they do that very efficiently and quickly. We appreciate them. Also, the media production folks who got lots of loads of good content for people to enjoy and look back on for years to come, whether it be posting on our website or to Facebook and such. Our good friend Tracy Chilson, she takes awesome pictures, and she took all the pictures, and we thank her for getting all those, the 108 as they came in on Thursday, and then the cast matchups each night, and then the overall winners there at the end. And she sits there and gets them edited after she takes them, and she does all that editing before she gets to go to eat or even go to bed that night. So we appreciate Tracy as well. And then to our own Bailey Vershoof and Shannon Nardi, along with their production team, Jeff, Rick, Mike, and Cody, for what they do in putting on a quality live show. To be blunt, this is Trevor's words here, quote, "To be blunt, they've allowed us to do things that haven't been done in the Coonhound world, period. The product gets better year after year," and I echo that as well. Thanks to everybody involved there. Cody is the son of Rick. He was out there carrying a big, heavy camera out there in the final cast, and that's not an easy thing either. Putting on all the miles, it's out there running after these dogs, scoring these dogs. He did a great job. Thank you to everybody involved, and a special thank you to Cody for all his efforts out there. Then there's the YouTube live stream talent. Jamie Estep, the host, along with Rick Stretch and Steve Burkholder, who keep us all entertained. And here again, this is Trevor, not only with their personalities, but their knowledge and experience of our sport. So thanks to them for sure. And they do a great job. And just go check it out. As I mentioned earlier, Trevor's grandmother passed while at the event, so he left early on Saturday morning after the late rounds on Friday with no sleep, and our buddy Bryce Matthews stepped in to call in the play-by-play from the woods that Trevor would have done otherwise, but we really appreciate him stepping in, and as Trevor says here, we appreciate him stepping in for me on short notice and not missing a beat. He did a phenomenal job reporting from the woods and interviewing Casey Maggard there at the very end, capturing his overjoy of emotions. And if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it on the play-by-play live stream on YouTube. Last but not least, to the partners and sponsors who do so much to make this event possible, starting with one of our partners, Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC. Not only do they provide an outstanding dog food handed out over the week here at the World Championship, but the flexibility of their partnership allows and affords us to provide so much to the sport, so much more to the sport. The live shows are a great example of that. Dogtra, the official GPS collar partner of UKC, they've given out so many telemetry systems over the past few years, it's mind-blowing, and that's Trevor's words there, and I agree. We've given out a lot of systems from Dogtra since they've came on as a partner. Bright Eyes Lights, what can we say? At this event alone, they gave away 27 lights to everyone who won a cast on Thursday, got one, all 27 there. And again, Ray Conrad does so much for UKC and the Coon Hunters, as he did here, not just this event, but as Trevor says here, and I quote, "Remember that." Also, Razor, Hunting Gear, Coon Hunter Supply, Tippery River, Johnny Watkins, the owner, does such an excellent job on the vests that the top 108 gets. We surely appreciate his sponsorship there. Trevor and I got to stop in at his shop, his store, on the way to the World Championships there in Rochester, Indiana, picked up all of those vests, and good to see his store. This is the first time I'd been in there, but thank you, Johnny and Razor Hunting Vests. We sure appreciate that, and I can tell you the hunters appreciate it. Tier 1 custom game calls. They've kept us in squallers for the last several years now, and we appreciate their sponsorship. Dan's Hunting Gear, Easy Loader Dog Kennels, Okie Dog Supply, and Mule Brand Gear. Dogs Are Treed. Nightlight, who's been with us for a long time. Owens dog boxes. Both show winners got one of the Owens dog boxes. Also, we'd like to thank Bad Habit Hunting Supply for setting up. They came a long ways, all the way from South Carolina. They had their big tent out there and set up with supplies on hand. And also want to thank Houndsman Advantage for being there, donating some goodies to the top 108. So with that, just thank everybody. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was an exciting event for us, and we look forward to doing it again next fall. And until then, get your dogs qualified, and maybe we'll see you at the 48th World Championship Finals. So long.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.